Alright, gang, thanks for tuning in for another cruise of Smooth. Running a couple minutes late today. We'll just say I got kept up when I got home this morning, and I got to sleep around an hour to an hour and a half later than I could have or should have, and I woke up on time, so I'm going to be highly caffeinated today for everyone's safety at work. Tonight, for everyone's safety at work. So today I kind of want to talk about taxes a little bit. Before I get into my opinions on all this stuff, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, notification bell. I want to know what you guys think about all this. If you have anything that you want my opinion on, even if it's something I know nothing about, I don't mind Googling. I'm pretty good at it. And I'll come up with an opinion. So, the other week, I went on my buddy Danny's show. I'm no expert. And the thing that was funny is, like, from the second I walked in his apartment until the time I left, he and I were just wide open talking the whole time about you name it. And so I do not know if we legit discussed this on the show or not, but I figured that it would at least be a good idea to air out my side of stuff here, because he and I, we talked about everything, and like there were times that we even interrupted ourselves to go off on a wild tangent on something else. So I'll just go ahead and kind of speak my piece on politics, or on taxes rather, right now. Not a sponsor. Grief. Missed my mouth. Okay. So this is fairly recent. The Amazon business office deal that fell through in New York. I remember listening to it, and New York was giving Amazon a huge tax break to come there. Now I can say this from the fact that I have relatives that used to live there. New York has ridiculously high state taxes. And I imagine New York City has even higher county or local taxes, whatever you'd want to call them. New York City does. So they were given a rather lucrative tax break to try to come there, and then in the 11th hour, New York dropped a bombshell, and Amazon's like, we're out. So 25,000 jobs didn't come to New York City. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was like, yes, we beat Amazon. That greedy corporate company's not coming to our town. Okay. So I get that corporations have the money to pay the tax lawyers to get them out of paying taxes. I get that. I've got an accountant that, and this guy doesn't crack a book, this guy doesn't go searching through anything. This guy uses a software called TaxSlayer. He inputs in all my information, and it spits out a number, and I've never been audited for state and federal taxes. This year I pay in on state by a little bit. Which hasn't really happened before, so that's weird. it's funny, like, there are theories that I've had about how things should be governed in tax policy that aren't necessarily the best for me, but I could survive them, but they're better for the country. My opinion on tax policy is do the flat or fair tax with no deductions. So, like, okay, give you a case in point. I've always had a side hustle. I've had a lawnmower that I paid for that was new. I bought 2 of them. I inherited one, basically, and then I bought 2 of them brand new. And I could depreciate those every year or write off the interest on the loan. Depreciation was always a better way to go. But I could depreciate those assets. So, okay, just here's a hypothetical. Suppose I spent $8,000 on the lawnmower, which on a commercial grade mower is very easy to do. And just suppose that it loses 10% per year in its value. I can write that off as a tax deduction along with the maintenance and everything else. So my idea for, small businesses, LLCs, people doing the side hustle, like a lot of people do, flat tax. You get no write-offs, but you're not in a progressive tax bracket. I think that's the dumbest thing, where if you make more money, the government's entitled to a higher percentage of your money. I think it's so stupid. My opinion on this, and I'll explain that I'm breaking this down real simple. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but okay, if you have a guy that's making $100,000 a year, just for math's sake, we're going to say that the income tax rate is 10%. Okay? You would pay $10,000 a year in taxes. That same thing, take a guy being taxed at 10%, but he's making $1 million a year. He pays $100,000 in taxes. Now, the thing about this, you get 0 loopholes, no deductions, so it's fair to everybody, and you could have such a rate where it's below a certain income level, you don't pay. I'm okay with that. Not that I think it's the best idea, but I'll give you that. But I'm okay with that. Let's see, what else was I thinking? Also, on corporate taxes, the United States for a number of years had the highest corporate tax in the developed world until Donald Trump, love him or hate him. Personally, I think that should be flat tax with no serious write-offs, and here's where I come up with that. I work for a large company that pays a bunch of money a year in taxes, and they can do stuff that's not necessarily best for the environment or best for the company, in my opinion, but it's a tax write-off, and it just makes it easier for them to do that. To get, case case in point, we launched a new product a few years back. They had to put together a new robotic assembly line. A buddy of mine worked for a contracting company that came in to rig that up. $50,000 robots that were just working were having the bolts that hold them down cut and being picked up by crushers and taken out and scrapped. And they were working 20 minutes before that happened to them. And that was all tax write-off. Because they could write off these depreciated robots. Used, they would bring anywhere between $20,000 to $60,000. I looked them up one time just out of curiosity. So they can write off all these robots, even though they're depreciated, and buy new ones. Well, anyway, I think that deductions should go away, and I think the way that you would calculate corporate taxes is, okay, the corporate tax rate for a long time was 39%, but they had so many deductions and credits that their effective tax rate was a lot lower than that. You just had to have tax lawyers to go through all the tax code to help you figure out how to run your business and how to file all the paperwork to get you to that lower effective tax rate. So my opinion, make the corporate income tax that rate, the industry average of that rate. So all corporations, suppose that right now I think corporate tax is at 20 or 25%, and suppose they pay 16. Corporate tax rate becomes that, no deductions. That's my theory. Because also it would put a bunch of tax lawyers out of work, and I don't have much to say about lawyers. That's nice. I have something to say about one lawyer. That's nice. Because she worked for me and she did a very good job. I'm pretty sure I told the story about how I adopted my kids. Might do a follow-up on that just to get a little bit more into the lawyer side of that, but that's my opinion on taxes. I think that it should be a lot simpler. I think that someone that has a eighth grade education should be able to file taxes, understand all the tax forms, and not be afraid to do it or be afraid of getting audited. I have multiple sources of income. Not all of it huge, but I got to claim it. I lease out, I live on a farm area. I lease out part of my property to a farmer who grows crops there, and so I get so much per acre that they lease from me every year. It's not enough. It's enough to pay the property taxes where I live. It's not much, but it's enough to pay the property taxes where I live. That's got to be claimed. I've got 2 or 3 side hustles that I get paid with. I get paid enough where I've got to claim that. My wife has been working off and on over the years. Got to claim that. I've got my 9 to 5. I use the term loosely because I've been on night shift almost the entire time I've been there. Got to claim that. My wife's side hustles, got to claim that. And with me being self-employed, I've got to claim all the bits and pieces that cost money. If anyone has ever messed with equipment or machines, you know that they will break, period. Keep all the receipts, you get a credit on writing all that off. Like I said, I do it because it's there for me to do, but I don't necessarily agree with the system the way it is. I think that the effective tax rate that people pay should just be the tax rate, and that be it. And don't get me started on property tax or vehicle tax or anything like that. bought a new car in 2018. First time I've ever bought a car with a window sticker still on it from the factory. Still have the car. That's what we're in right now. When I bought the car, I paid a tax based on what it sold for. And every year since I bought it, well, getting ready to come up to the second tax year for me, I've had to pay a percentage of its assessed value. I think that's insane. You don't get to tax something that's still owned. Tax is transactional. I think that's highway robbery. Now, if you wanted to make a tax based on mileage driven, that would hurt me, but it would seem more fair, because literally I could park this car and drive it 20 miles a week, or I could drive it 200,000 miles a year, and my taxes are still the same. So I don't think that automotive tax is really a fair thing. I don't think property tax is a fair thing. I think that you should have to pay taxes. Like, okay, if I bought 100 acres, I think that I should have to pay taxes when the deeds are transferred, but I don't think I should have to pay taxes every year just because I own property. I think there's so much about local, state, and federal income or revenue generation that is just so crooked in the way that it's structured and set up. I do think that there needs to be massive tax reform, and I think that you could cut out a lot of I think that you could, if you did it right, you could cut out a lot of the fat in the bureaucracy. Good grief, I'm running late. So that's just kind of my basic opinion on taxes. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, rate, share, comment, subscribe. Might go ahead and do another show today. I'm feeling pretty talkative still. So,